And hello and welcome. My name is Jan Potsman, and I'm the Assistant Director at the CSUN Career Center. We're here today for you to really learn a little bit more about LinkedIn. So as we start, as we move to this, we're going to launch a poll here. Okay, come on, launch. It is not wanting. There we go. And did it launch? Okay, let's launch the poll.
Looks like it has not launched, Jen.
I can see that, but I'm not sure how to fix it. What? There we go. Thank you, Anna. There we go. Collecting data. We want to know what you know. And because we're going to measure what you learned at the end of today's session.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, a few more folks. If you just answer the question, we will go from there. So we have let me end the poll and share the results. So we've got a mix here. Nobody's an expert. 29%, it's brand new to them. 51%, they have a little bit of knowledge. They know a little bit. And then 20% know a little bit more. So I am going to introduce you to the person presenting this session today, and it's Genesis Lozano. Oh, please mute, please put yourself on mute. Okay, there we did. I took care of that. Genesis Lozano earned her Bachelor of Science in Agricultural and Environmental Education from UC Davis. During her undergraduate experience, she held many student jobs and was heavily involved with student affairs. She found her passion in higher education while working as a student employment peer advisor at UC Davis's Internship and Career Center. After her time at UC Davis, she decided to explore other careers in education. She worked as a partner teacher in an underserved middle school in Sacramento with a nonprofit called CineYear. After her time with CineYear, she moved to Florida to serve as a conservation education presenter on Disney's Animal Kingdom's Animal Science and Environment team. After her time with Walt Disney World, she earned her Master's of Arts in Higher Education Leadership from CSUN. Genesis was born and raised in the San Fernando Valley and has strong ties to the community. She joined CSUN as a staff member in 2020 and has held different positions on campus since then. She currently serves as the interim career counselor for the Student Employment Department. In this role, she oversees the From Here to Career program, a career readiness program for CSUN student employees. It provides general career advisement. She provides, general career advisement and manages different student employment events. Genesis finds passion in helping students realize the value of an on-campus job and how this experience can help them develop their career goals. As a first-generation Latina student, she understands the importance of empowering students with the right resources to achieve their career goals. Welcome, Genesis Lozano.
Wow. Hi. Well, thank you, Jen. That is a great introduction. I always love that introduction. Hi, everyone. I'm very excited to be with you here today on the first day of internship week. I'm very excited to talk about LinkedIn today. So let me go ahead and jump right in and share my screen. right. Alrighty. Let me minimize myself here. All right, so hi everyone. As Jen said, today we will be talking about creating a LinkedIn profile and connecting with recruiters effectively. So how to effectively create a profile to connect with recruiters and find different opportunities via LinkedIn. Like Jen said, my name is Genesis. I'm an interim career counselor at your CSUN Career Center, and we're just going to go ahead and jump right in. So our goals for today, one, I want you to understand the importance of an online presence, like why even build a LinkedIn. I think that's always important for you to understand, so you can be motivated to build your LinkedIn and start connecting with people. We're going to talk about how to navigate through LinkedIn, how to build a profile, all the nitty-gritty details. I'm actually going to jump into my own LinkedIn and show you some examples. I want you to gain insight on certain LinkedIn features and strategies we can use, and then we're going to learn how to connect with recruiters. So with that being said, let's just go ahead and jump in. Why is having an online presence so important? The process of finding jobs has evolved. Recruiters have really evolved this process. A lot of different jobs that you're going to be finding is going to be online via different sites. That's just kind of how it's evolved nowadays. 72% of recruiters use LinkedIn to recruit talent. So recruiters are out there using LinkedIn. It's actually a very popular site for them to use to fill certain roles. So I think it's important to create your online presence so that recruiters can see that you're out there and can see these skills that you have to fill these roles. LinkedIn has allowed different candidates, people looking for jobs, to build their online presence, curate their professional presence online. It allows candidates to really showcase the work they've done, build credibility and trust with the recruiters that are out there. I think that's the biggest thing that LinkedIn does. It allows you to really showcase your work and show recruiters like, hey, this is what I've done. This is what I want to do. And this is my goals for the future. It really puts yourself out there to connect with people that you might not have had access if you didn't create a LinkedIn. So it's really about empowering applicants to build their online presence. And if you take away anything from today, it's using your online presence and empowering yourself to curate it, create your personal brand so that you can network and build community in an easy to use platform, I would say. And we're going to go through that today and how to do that. And the biggest difference I want to say here is I always get resumes are very similar to like a LinkedIn profile. Resumes are tailored to a specific job you're going to apply to, while your LinkedIn, you're curating your overview as a professional. So don't look at it as it just being a resume. It's really your overall presence as a professional online. So that is kind of the key difference between a resume and a LinkedIn profile. If we think about how we find work nowadays, like I said, you might try different sites that are popular like Indeed, Monster, Career Builder. These are all very popular sites to use, especially as a student. You might kind of wet your feet in these sites. They're very common. You'll hear a lot about them. As students, you might try to filter by like major, industry, maybe a certain location. Most often, not all jobs are actually posted on these sites. It is almost deceiving sometimes. These sites can be helpful to kind of wet your feet in terms of seeing different roles that are out there, but it's in reality, it's not the entire open job market. There's only about 20% of jobs are actually only advertised via these sites. So it's a little bit deceiving. There's about a whole other 80% that is called the hidden job market that we're going to try to unlock today using the power of networking. So to kind of drive this point home and give it some perspective, all these open job market that we call, which you like Indeed or Monster or Career Builder, these are all going to be openly advertised, while we're going to have 80% of other jobs that are hidden and they're not advertised. Now you're saying, how do I access those hidden jobs? It's going to be through networking. It could be through your connections as a professor, maybe some teachers you've had, maybe professional events you attended, conferences. It could be through volunteer experiences. If you're part of any associations or organizations on campus, oftentimes you're going to find opportunities through there, social media, online networking groups. That's what we're going to focus on today, is using LinkedIn as a form of networking and unlocking those hidden jobs and making connections to be able to find new opportunities that you might not have seen on Indeed or Monster, or those open job websites. So I'm actually going to jump in right now. We're going to talk about building. Now that we know why LinkedIn is important and why we should create a profile, we're going to talk about building profile. So let me switch sharing screens. Give me a moment. Perfect. Y'all should be looking at my LinkedIn profile now. I'm just going to go through each different piece, and I'm going to show you some pieces on my profile, some other example profiles that I think are great examples. And we're going to go through each piece and kind of talk about each in detail. So first things first, the first thing a lot of people are going to be seeing is your photo. So your photo should be close up. Typically it's going to be like shoulder width and above. You should be looking directly in the camera. You shouldn't be looking off to the side. There should be a neutral background. So making sure there's just no distraction in the background, or maybe it's just like a white background or a solid background. That's always good. Make sure you're dressed appropriately. If you have like sunglasses or a hat in your photo, we can't really get the full picture of you. So typically frowned upon. So think about just having clean picture, clean background, you looking at the camera. This can be accomplished with like portrait mode on your phone. If you're just taking a selfie and like doing it in portrait mode, gets you a good photo. Just something that we're able to identify, your recruiter can clearly see who you are. Next thing, right behind your photo is going to be your background here. You can choose from a variety of different backgrounds. So I'll show you. If you hit change photo, you can see there's different ones that LinkedIn actually offers. So you can choose from the preset ones. That's totally okay as well. Some people like to get a little fancier. Maybe we'll look up online different like free backgrounds that they can put into their background. Just make sure it's something that you value, that represents you. Sometimes it could be like, for example, if you're in the music industry, maybe you'll have like a piano or some type of instrument in the background. Or if you want to represent your company, then you're going to have like your company logo in the background. That is something you can do. Another kind of like easy free way to kind of customize your background is by using Canva. And Canva is basically a free online infographic that lets you create your own small infographics that you can use. In this case, we'd be using it for LinkedIn. You can get a free account via Canva. What you type in is LinkedIn banner, and you'll get all these different options. Make sure you filter by free, which is like all the way down here. And you'll get all these different options, and you can actually like, let's say you really like, let's say this one. You can customize it to put your name, a position you have or you aspire to have, maybe your contact information. You edit that, you save it, you download it, and that can be your new background. So this is just a free, easy way that if you want to, you can customize your background. That is an option. I see a lot of people do that. So something to think about. Next thing you're going to see is actually my name. And then what I really liked about LinkedIn, this feature they have, is they have this pronunciation feature. So I uploaded my name pronunciation so you can see if we can hear it together.
Genesis Lozano.
I think that's really cool. It's a feature that you can, again, you can get people to pronounce your name correctly. And it's easier for maybe a recruiter to call you and be able to talk with you and be able to already know how to pronounce your name. LinkedIn also, what I might say with the name pronunciation, you can only upload it via LinkedIn's mobile app. So you would have to download their mobile application. So keep that in mind. You wouldn't be able to do it on the desktop version. You can also add your pronouns. So I think that's really great. LinkedIn added, you can add your pronouns. I think that's a great way to connect with people, and they know how to address you when you're messaging them, or if someone else has their pronouns, you know how to address them when you're reaching out to them as well. Next thing right under that is going to be our headline. Now, the headline could be your current role that you hold, which is what I have right now, and your organization name. If you're a student right now, that might not be the case. Maybe if you're interning, you can list your intern position. What you could also do is say like CSUN student aspiring blank, like aspiring accountant, aspiring producer. It could be something that you're aspiring to. It doesn't necessarily have to be the role you hold right now. So keep that in mind. This is just one example, but you can list something that you're aspiring to do as well. All right, let's jump down to the different sections I have here on my profile. First things up is analytics. I think this is super important. It allows you to see different aspects of your profile. So I can see who's viewed my profile. And keep in mind, only you would be able to see this on your profile. It's not public to everyone. But I can see who's viewed my profile. And this is an important note to anyone who doesn't know already. LinkedIn is public, meaning if I go to look at someone else's profile, like for example, a colleague here, Sarah, she knows that I viewed her profile because LinkedIn will send her a notification. So this is not like Facebook where you could view someone's profile and they won't know. They will receive a notification because the point of LinkedIn is to build community, build connections. So it's less about that anonymity, I guess, being anonymous. Next things up is I can see if I post something or if I make a new post or an update, I can see how many impressions my post got, which is great to see how many people I'm engaging with and who's like how I'm able to build my connections on LinkedIn. And then the most valuable one I would say is how many searches. I can see how many searches I've appeared in. So like I had said, recruiters use LinkedIn to fill certain roles. So what they'll do is they'll type in the search bar. Maybe they're looking to fill in like a recruiter position or a talent acquisition position. They're going to look that up and LinkedIn is going to give them, based on your profile, a list of possible candidates. And it tells you how many times you pop up in those searches. So I think it's really good insight in terms of like, is your profile reaching the people you want to be reached? So take a look at those analytics. Next thing that we're going to drop into is the about section. Now, I always get a lot of questions about the about section because it seems kind of daunting to write about. I would almost treat it like a mini cover letter. Your about section should complement your resume. And there's 3 different things your about section should talk about. It should talk about your past, what your current, your present, and your future is what I always like to say. So when I say past, it means like what motivates you, what interests you, why did you go into this industry, why are you trying to pursue this industry? Like if I'm trying to do education, why did I start in education? Why did I want to do this? What am I doing about it now, or what I have done, right? It could be I got my bachelor's in education, I got my master's in education, I'm interning at this high school, like what am I doing about it now to gain the experience and skills necessary? And then what do I want from the future? What do I want to be 5 years down the road? What is my ultimate goal? What role do I want to end up with? Those are the 3 things that should be in your about section. It should be almost like a mini cover letter, and it's not reiterating the experiences you've had. It's more about talking about how those experiences have helped you get to where you are and where you want to be. Another thing about the about section that you should include is when you're creating your about section, you should have certain keywords or certain language that relate to your industry, so that when an recruiter is searching to fill a role, those keywords in there from your about section will help you appear in certain search results. So students are always like, well, what keywords? How am I supposed to know what keywords I'm supposed to include in my about section? Think about a role that you would want. Like if you know you want to go into, let's say, engineering, right? And you have a specific engineering role you want to go into, look up different job postings, and we'll go through the job section here in LinkedIn. See that you find them, look for them if you like them, what I do. And it's not like you're about to apply to it, it's just about so you can see what's out there and what's required and what skills they're using and language they're using in those job postings. Take that job posting and you can put it in a word cloud generator. And then you can see the different skills that they use the most. What words are they saying the most? What key words can you put into your about section to help you be more relevant to recruiters that are searching for that role to be filled? Just kind of a tip there when you're doing about section. Then we'll go down to the featured. Now your featured is it's going to showcase real work. This is basically the saying put into place, whereas a word is worth 1,000 what is it? A picture is worth 1,000 words. This is the featured section. You want to showcase real work that you're doing. If you're in school and you have maybe a school project that you want to showcase, you can put that there. If you went to a conference, you want to feature that, you can feature that as well. If you have any senior capstone projects or something you're working on, again, it could be featured in your featured section, or a presentation like I'm doing for my work right now, I can put in my featured section. It's just about building that credibility with the recruiter who might be looking at your profile. Basically saying like, what I put on my resume is true, and this is kind of my evidence to back it up. Right after your featured is the activity section. So the activity section shows you staying basically relevant in LinkedIn. It shows that you're engaging with your community. You are on LinkedIn, staying up to date with what's going on with your connections, with your network. It just shows to a recruiter that you do use LinkedIn, and it's not something you just have there. You want to actively show that you're on LinkedIn. Next up is your experience. So this is the part that almost is very similar to a resume, but you can actually elaborate a lot more. And what I love, it's very visual. You can add photos. You can put certain skills you want to highlight or that you use the most. That's what I really like about the experience section, is the fact that you can add those visual cues on there. And again, it builds that credibility with someone who is looking at your LinkedIn profile. It's complementing a resume. It's showing your overall professional appearance online. In your experience, again, you're going to be, in terms of what you're going to put in the description, we're going to be using a lot of active verbs. Think about what you did there. If you accomplished anything, this is in a certain role, this is where you're going to showcase that. Show that maybe if you moved up a role or you were promoted, show that in your LinkedIn. As you'll see here, I went from advisor to a counselor. Like, this is an easy way to show that I gained responsibility at work. I was promoted at work. It's one way that you can showcase your goals and what you're doing for this certain organization. And as you'll see, I've had different photos, maybe different work that I've done in my experience section. And then we're going to have the education section. So this is, again, where you can showcase different work that you have. For example, for my master's, I did include my final project here. So if someone wanted to go through and see the work, the research that I completed to graduate from my program, they can actually see my research and see that I've completed it. Now the employer who's looking at my profile understands that I can research, I can write, I'm analytical. Again, showcasing that you have the skills that you're saying on your resume. Now, when it comes to the different sections you can have on your profile, you can customize it. And I'll show you how to do that in a moment. We can add different profile sections, but for example, I have volunteering. For volunteering, you can't add visuals. That's just the way LinkedIn has it set up. But if you have any volunteering that you do as students, I know as a student, I built up my professional experience on my volunteering experience. So it was important for me to showcase that. That is something you could also showcase on LinkedIn. Then we're going to come into skills and recommendations. So in the skill section here, you can actually show different skills that you have gained throughout the different positions you've had. You can add skills here based on what you feel is fit. Right here, the skills I have are the skills that I've listed here. Like, you'll see them. The skills that are here are going to come down to, they just populate automatically to the skill section down here. Now, what's important about this skill section is the endorsements. So the endorsements give that credibility that you have that skill. Someone from a previous workplace can say, yep, I worked with Genesis. She does have the skill of Microsoft Office. She understands how to use the suite of Microsoft Office. Again, it builds that credibility. So what I like about endorsements is you don't have to directly go ask your supervisor or a coworker, hey, endorse this skill. When you add someone on LinkedIn and they view your profile for the first time, it'll actually prompt them to endorse some of the skills that you already have listed on your profile. And it's pretty simple. Sometimes we'll be like, yeah, of course I'll endorse this skill and this skill. Rather than you having to go out and look for endorsements. That's what I like about this feature, is you don't have to really do that. I'll show you someone else's who has a more robust skill section. So you'll see 12 endorsements for mentoring, problem solving, training, facilitation. That shows me okay, Sarah does really have the skill of problem solving. That's something she can do and employ in any work setting that she has. So that's an important thing about skills. Next thing up is recommendations. Now, recommendations is different than skills, or an endorsement of skills, because you do directly have to ask for a recommendation from someone. And the way you would do that, you would hit ask for recommendation. You would search for the person. Let's say I would want to ask, say if I'm asking my coworker, I would hit continue. And then it's going to ask your relationship, your position at the time, which does have to be a position you've held. So it has to already be in your profile. And then you can include a personalized message. Now, in this message, if you are going to ask for recommendation, which, you should, if you want to have that on your profile, it's totally okay. Be specific. If you want someone to give you a recommendation, say what you want them to talk about. If you work with this person on planning an event or planning a whole event together, say, can you talk about my experience planning this event together? And give them those parameters so they can give you a good recommendation on your profile. It could even be where if you give someone, give someone a recommendation, they will be more inclined to give you one as well. So kind of think of it as a reciprocal situation. But a recommendation, again, is nice to have because a recruiter can see that you have those relationships, you have certain skills, and there's someone who's actually been willing to vouch for you publicly on your profile. So something to think about is skills and recommendation section. And these are all optional sections that I have in my profile, but you can choose not to have. I am bilingual, so I decided to feature that. These are organizations that I'm currently a part of. I still do a lot of networking with this organization, so I do include them because it helps with the networking feature and connecting with people. And then interests. So you can follow different groups based on what industry you're in, kind of to stay up to date, keep learning, and it'll populate on your newsfeed through your home button. But keep in mind, anyone can see any organizations you're following, so just keep that in mind. Again, it's not private, it is public, and we'll talk about kind of how to play with those settings in a little bit. Now you see all the sections I have on my profile. Let's actually go and talk about how to customize your profile. So at the very top of your profile, you'll see this button that says Add Profile Section. We're going to go ahead and hit that. And LinkedIn recommends these core ones like education, position. You can actually add a career break. So I know right now a lot of people have gone through layoffs. They might add that career break, or because of COVID, they had a career break. They can add that in. It's a nice way to kind of explain a gap in your experiences. Again, you can add skills through here as well, but they also have all these recommended ones. If you have any licenses or certifications, and we'll talk about certifications through LinkedIn that's available for you as a CSUN student to take advantage of, but you can add those on to your profile. If you want to add any courses you're taking, like if you feel that there's certain courses you're taking that are very relevant to maybe some positions you want to apply to, add that coursework on there as well. This is a recommendations one. I already have that one. We went over that one. If you want to add some publications, if you have actually published work, you can add that on there. Any projects. As students, you might have a lot of different projects that you're working on. I know as a student, I often had many different projects that I was working on, and I never thought to showcase them. And that was like one of my biggest regrets, because I put in a lot of work to those projects. Use your LinkedIn to showcase the projects you're working on and show off your work. That's what LinkedIn is for. If you have any honors or awards, I see often a lot of students showcasing like their Dean's List. If you made the Dean's List, you can showcase that. Or if you have any other awards that you've received, that is something you can showcase on your LinkedIn profile. Same thing with like causes, organizations. Your profile is really up to you. It's what you make of it. So you can remove stuff, add stuff as you see fit. So really just take the time to play around with it. I would recommend before you start editing and updating stuff, every time you update something, it does notify your connections. So if you've already connected with Employer on LinkedIn, you can actually we're going to go to edit public profile and URL, and you can change your visibility off and updates off. So before you start, you'll see right here, all these different updates I have turned on right now, off. You can actually go in and turn that off before you start making all these changes so that they don't see that you're updating your profile. So keep that in mind. Or if alternatively, you're like, okay, just created a LinkedIn. I want to be private right now until I have fully updated my profile. Then you can go like full public if you would like to and play around with the different settings. Now in this same area, this is where you can also update your URL. So once you're like, I've already updated my profile, I'm ready, I want to feature this on my resume, I want an easy way for recruiters to connect to me, then you can go here and you can actually copy and paste this URL that you have and copy and paste that into your resume in the contact information section of your resume. This used to be, you can actually edit your URL, which I really like, because for me, this used to be a really long string of awkward numbers. I actually changed it to my first name, middle name, and these two numbers. So now it's nice, short, concise, and easy for me to post onto my resume. Something I really like that. So please take a look at that when you're editing your profile. All right. So some other things I wanted to show you all today, besides my profile, I also wanted to show you the license and certifications here. So you'll see Sarah here, she actually has a certification, or not a certification, she completed a course called Enhancing Resilience through LinkedIn Learning. That's something you can feature on your profile as well, and I'll show you how you can get access to LinkedIn Learning. I want to show you Sydney here. She has actual certifications. Shows you these certifications and where and how you can get them as well. So it's just nice to see that you are constantly working on yourself, you're doing professional development. It's another way to showcase your recruiters. Now you're like, how do I access LinkedIn Learning? So it's right here, should be on your right-hand side. We're going to go ahead and hit that button. For me, it just populates and opens because I'm already logged in with my CSUN credentials. Once you hit that LinkedIn Learning button, it's going to prompt you to put in your organization, which will be CSUN, and then you will log in with your CSUN credentials. So keep that in mind. Once you're logged in with your CSUN credentials, your profile will look like this. You'll have this little CSUN logo here. And if you're wondering how you're like, you know what, I want to complete a certificate, or I want to, you want to build your skills for a certain position. If you're like, I want to go into marketing, or I want to go more into HR, we're going to hit the browse. And this is solely for CSUN students. So take advantage of it now that you're a student. If you have some downtime and you're like, I want to add a certificate to my resume or to my professional development, please take advantage of it. Because post-graduation, you will not be able to access anymore. So it's just something to think about. So once you're in here, you can see the different topics. So you'll see that there's business topics that you can go through. And these are just courses. So let's say you're like, I want to take a course in marketing because I want to do something with social media and marketing. Excuse me. So then you can go in and take one course, and it'll tell you how long this course takes. There's a whole learning path. So keep that in mind. If you want to do a series of courses, you totally can. And it'll show once you finish the course, it'll show up on your LinkedIn profile that you've completed it. But if you're like, I want to do like something more official, like a certification, we're going to go back to browse and we're going to go to certifications. And then you can see the different certifications that you can take. Now, let's say you want to focus more on Microsoft. We're going to hit the Microsoft certifications, and then you're going to see the different learning paths that there are. And I always get this question, it's like, how long is it going to take? Just look at the time. It usually says, and you can take it at your pace, which I like. So keep that in mind. But this is the way to get a certification, finish a whole learning path. Careful, because some of these are just courses, which will not get you a certification, but something to think about and to take advantage of as you're a student trying to supplement your skills and add different things to your profile. All right, so we went through LinkedIn Learning. Let's go to the news feed. So this is your home section. It'll give you different updates from people you're connected with, from different organizations you follow. So this is where it goes back to that section of my interest. This is going to show the different organizations I follow and different updates from people in my community. As I recommend, I always tell students, if you have something you want to share, please share it. If you went to a conference, you can start a post here. You can add a photo. You can add a photo, edit your photo, talk if you recently got promoted, you can showcase that as well. Or if you got a new role like this person did, you can showcase that on LinkedIn. Really, it's just about connecting. And by you posting, it's an easy way to connect with people and let people know what you're up to, and stay up to date with your community. It's an easy way to kind of keep connecting with your network. So I recommend, if you haven't already, go in and see if you can maybe make a post about, I challenge you to make a post maybe about a project you're working on, or if you recently got a position as with an internship, go ahead and talk about that and talk about it in LinkedIn. Awesome. Next thing we're going to talk about here is the job section. So I like LinkedIn because based on your profile, will already recommend different positions for you. So it's nice because it curates for you, but if you wanted to look for a specific role, let's say you want to do administrative assistant, we're going to go ahead and click that one, and then you'll see different administrative assistant roles. And what I like is their filters. So you can do, there's entry level, internship. As students, you'll probably be either looking at internship, or if you're a recent grad, you want to do entry level. You can put how the type of work you want to do. Do you want to be in person? Do you want it to be hybrid? Do you want it to be completely remote? Just for this one, let's do hybrid. And location. So you can choose a location, and it shows you all these different positions. And as you go through it, I like, you can see if you have any connections that work there or alumni. I really appreciate that. I think applying to a job that has a lot of CSUN alumni working there kind of gives you an upper edge, because they'll see that they already have so many CSUN graduates. It's been good for them. They'll probably continue hiring CSUN graduates. So if we want to look at a role a little bit closer, like for example, this one, you'll go in, look at what you'll do in this role, what's required, take a look in detail. Now with any online job posting, be it LinkedIn, be it Indeed, Monster, even Handshake, if you're going to apply to positions, right? We do our best to vet certain jobs, and LinkedIn does their best to approve only certain jobs. You have to also do your due diligence. Make sure that this is a legit job. Make sure, typically it'll take you to their website. Make sure you're checking out their website. That is an actual position on their website as well. Something to keep in mind, but I do think LinkedIn has a very strong search tool for different positions for you to explore. And you can even save different searches and have the, like, let's say you only want to look at accounting positions or one specific role title. They will send you email updates with that to your inbox, so you don't have to constantly be logging into LinkedIn. I think that's really nice for them to do as well. All right, now the last thing we're going to talk about today is connections. So how are we going to connect with these recruiters? You're like, how do I use, now that we've set up our profile, we understand how it works, how are we going to connect with recruiters? So what you'll do, let's say you really want to work for the Walt Disney Company. What we're going to do is you're going to search the Walt Disney Company. You're going to find their profile. Maybe you'll follow them so you can stay up to date with different postings that they have. But we're going to pay attention to right now is the employees. So anyone who's ever said that either currently works at the Walt Disney Company, that's what's going to pop up right now. Now, we're going to think about, this is when connections are going to come into play. So there's 3 different types of connections. The first connection is a first degree connection. So a first degree connection is anyone that you have directly connected with already. So it could be any of the connections I have right now. My first degree connections are people I've already met before, worked with in a professional setting. So they might be current coworkers, they might be my classmates, they might be past coworkers. There's someone I've met either at a conference, in person, some type of work related thing. Those are your first degree connections. You already know them previously from something else. Then we have second degree connections. Second degree connections are connected to your first degree connection. And then last but not least, we have third degree connections. Those are people who are connected to your second degree connection. So it's just meaning that they're 3 degrees away from you. So you probably have never met them before, but they're connected to someone who's your second degree connection. What we're going to focus on today are your first and second degree connections. So if we look here at who works at the Walt Disney Company, maybe I'm someone who wants to be an animal keeper. I want to work at Walt Disney World's Animal Kingdom, and I want to learn how to join their animal science and environment team. I'm going to look at the different roles that I see here, look at their titles, and maybe I'll see animal keeper here. So Emily here is an animal keeper at Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge. That falls into what I want to do. I would like to hold a role similar to that. I'm going to look at how I'm connected to them. So it looks like these right here are my first degree connections. It looks like Claire, someone I've worked with before, knows Emily. So what I'm actually going to do is reach out to Claire and ask her to introduce me to Emily and just say like, hi, Claire, how are you doing? I noticed you're connected to Emily. I would love to connect with her to discuss more about her role as an animal keeper. Now, this is a job you want to have, right? But it's not necessarily a recruiter or someone who can help you get that position. Maybe you'll pick Emily's brain about what she does in her role, how her job is. And then from there, once you've connected with her, you can ask her to connect with someone in recruiting, someone in talent acquisition, someone who can help you talk about the next steps or look at different opportunities. It's all about building relationships and community to kind of help you understand and break into the industry that you want to go into. So this is one way to use your connections. The most important ones are going to be those second degree connections because you already have someone that you've connected with that you can reach out to do that introduction rather than trying to just message them. It's more likely for them to reply to you and actually help you out if there's that connection there already before you reach out. And we're going to talk a little bit more about what those messages look like. So let me switch back over to my PowerPoint. So when connecting with recruiters, these are steps that LinkedIn actually put out themselves. So we're going to talk about how to do it. So first, maybe LinkedIn has these 3 different steps. It's called wink, smile, connect, and then hug. So first you'll wink with the person, which is basically what you either follow them on some other type of social media. They'll get a message that they have a new follower. They'll see that it's you. Now that you're connected with them on some other type of social media, that's kind of the way to enter. This is like another way to do it. Then you're going to look at them on LinkedIn. When you look at their profile on LinkedIn, they'll get that notification. They'll see that who you are, they can view your profile, and they can kind of get to know you a little bit better that way. Then you're going to do connect. So when you connect with someone, you'll actually physically hit the connect button next to their name. And when you connect, you have the option to send a message. Always, always, always write a personal message when you're sending a connection. It is a lot more likely that you will get a reply if you send a personal message. And in that message, you're going to try to connect with them somehow or relate to them. So if you maybe went to the same, if you're both alumni for CSUN, that's one way you can connect. If you're from the same hometown, that's how you can connect. If you have a mutual connection, that is a great way to connect with them as well, and allow you to speak further with them. Once you've done that initial connect and they accept your connection, you are then going to go, then you have the ability to message them. So this is where you're going to kind of go in, and this is an example of what you do, right? My name is Genesis. I'm currently a senior at California State University, Northridge. I want to explore new opportunities in education. If you have a minute, I'd want to discuss, and then you can list either a position title, different skills, and their experiences that might match up with positions you're recruiting for. Now, this is when you're connecting specifically with a recruiter, because this is what they do. They look to fill certain roles, or they can put you in contact with another recruiter who is filling a role. And then you would reach out and attach your resume. So this is after you've connected with them. Now, let's say you're just a student and you're like, I don't want a job right now, or I'm not looking to be in a role. We are going to, this is another example to connect for just an informational interview. So if you're like, I just want to learn about a role, learn a little bit more about the process, you can actually reach out to a recruiter to put you in touch with someone who's doing a role you want to do, and set up an informational interview to learn more about that role, what the day-to-day looks like, and just learning about their experience. Many people are willing to help out students and more than happy to help out someone that was in a spot they were a long time ago. So always keep that in mind, that people are willing to help. And this is a way for you to build those connections, building your personal network. It always helps when you're maybe just asking to hear about experiences rather than directly coming out and asking for a favor right off the bat, like putting you in connection with a recruiter or learning about different jobs. You're just asking to learn about their experience. It's a great way to gain a mentor and someone that you can constantly go to and have that contact information for an industry you want to break into. And this is just one example to do it as a student. As students, we recommend you all to do informational interviews, learn about the role you want to go into so that you know what you go into post-graduation, you kind of know what to expect, rather than being surprised when you get a role and you're like, I don't want to do this. But yeah, that's kind of the end with connecting recruiters, and that is all I have for today. I will pass it off to Jen for to launch another poll and then do some Q&A.
Thank you, Genesis. That was an excellent job. So we are going to link the final poll. I mean, we're going to launch the final poll. So here we go. Can you see it?
Let me stop sharing for a moment. I don't see it. Does everyone else see it?
I'm clicking on launch and it's
Let me help you out.
not going anywhere.
I think you would have to share your screen, Jen, for us to see the poll.
Oh, I see. Thank you. Okay, let me go ahead and do that. So if you stop sharing, you did, and now it's my turn. Hold on. Let me close something else I've got open. And let me share my screen. Okay. Continue. Okay. So I'm sorry, I have we will launch it. And it's not launching. Can you see it?
No, yeah, I see it. I'm trying to launch it on my end either. And for some reason the button is like, I don't know. It's I don't know.
Let me close it and try again.
Try again. If you can't launch it, I can't. And can you check, just because you're also a co-host, if you go to polls and you do the
Yes,
second
I'm gonna
one,
try.
yeah, you might be able to, because I think I was able to launch the first one.
I'm clicking on it. It just is not activating.
There we go.
There we go.
Okay,
Yay.
that should work.
Thank you, Anne.
No problem.
So it's always important to collect information because we want to make sure that we're on track and delivering you what you're looking for.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of questions in the chat, and Anne will start with the chat questions just after we finish the poll. So a few more people, if you answer the poll, then we will share it with you. Share the results. Okay, let's go ahead and end the poll. And I will share the results with you. So I think there are a few people on the line that really learned some information about LinkedIn and about
Yay.
connecting with recruiters.
That makes me happy.
That makes me happy too. Okay, so Anne, I'm going to turn it over to you to open it up and start reading the questions for Genesis.
Yeah, of course. So the first person asks, what are Clifton strengths?
Good question. So Clifton strengths are it's an assessment basically. So it's an assessment that you can take that lets you, once you finish that assessment, so if you don't know what assessment is, kind of like a test or almost a survey. When you take that assessment, it gives you at the end of it, your top strengths, things that you are, you excel in and that you can continue to grow in based off of your results for your assessment. It's just a good indicator of, like, for me, we use it here at the center, and it helps us understand kind of what everyone is good at and what they excel in doing, which allows us, when working as a team, to divvy up different tasks based off of their strengths. You probably saw it on my profile, but yeah, I have those featured on my profile as well. If you wanted to, we do offer the strengths assessment at the Career Center. You can make an appointment with a career counselor, go through, take the strengths assessment, and we do the interpretation with you. If that's something you're interested in.
Okay, and then the next person asks, they're an animation student. Does that mean that they can put examples of their work in the featured? Also, what if the only work experience that they've had has nothing to do with the industry that they're interested in?
Gotcha. That's a great question. Yeah. So if you, as an animation student, you must have different projects that you have and that you've worked on. That is something you can put in your featured section. I think it's great, especially if you're trying to continue down that road, to showcase the work that you've done. If your current experience has nothing directly related to do with animation, that is okay. You can feature it in your experiences to show that. And no matter what position you have, there is going to be transferable skills, things you've learned there that can serve you in another position. It could be administrative work. It could be learning how to be organized. It could be just being reliable. Showcase those experiences for now, and you can update them as you continue and take on different internships and do different things. But I would put them on your profile now. There's nothing wrong with it. It shows that you are actively doing something. And again, you have those transferable skills that, although right now you might not think it applies, but there are skills that can go over to other positions that you're interested in.
Okay, and the next question is, what does the position section of the recommendation request refer to?
Yeah, good question. Let me see if I can just share one more time so you all can see. But when you're asking for a recommendation, it asks you to, let me go back to my profile really quickly so other people know what you're talking about. When you're asking for a recommendation, where is it? And you're asking for one, it asks the position that you know. So for example, if I know I'm going to ask my coworker, Daniel, for a recommendation, the position at the time. So it's like, what role did I know Daniel in? So like, what role am I asking him to recommend me when I'm asking for him a recommendation, how did I meet him basically? At the time, I know Daniel through my time at the Career Center. So what I would choose is it's going to be through my role at the Career Center. So you just have to choose a position when you're asking for a recommendation so they know where you're coming from and where you're asking the recommendation to come from, basically. Good question.
Okay, I would just like to add,
Yeah.
there was a person that raised their hand, but I will tell you that if you could please just put that information in the chat, the question in the chat, because we are live streaming in this and posting it, we won't have any individuals on screen. So just go ahead and put that in the chat.
Good point, Jen.
Okay, and the next question is, do you recommend any general LinkedIn learning courses?
Oh, that's a good one. When I think about different courses that I can take that can be applied to different positions, there's a lot of courses on diversity, equity, and inclusion. Those are great to take because that is going to be relevant in any position you take on, right? Knowing and understanding how to create an equitable and inclusive workplace will be useful. So I would say if I recommend any, it would be those. There's a lot of different great courses that I viewed and learned a lot from in LinkedIn Learning. So I would say take advantage of those.
Okay, and then someone else asks, should the about section be in third person?
Awesome. That I totally forgot to mention that. It could be in third person. Most of them are in third person. I've seen people do first person. It's whatever you feel comfortable doing. It's your profile. So if you want to do first person, you can. But for the most part, most people do it in third person. Showcase mine.
Okay, next question is, do we have LinkedIn Premium free as CSUN students?
We do not. You do not have LinkedIn Premium for free. You just have LinkedIn Learning for free. LinkedIn Premium, and this probably goes to another question that I saw in the chat. Some people said, like, is it worth getting LinkedIn Premium? In my opinion, and there are other opinions, I don't think it is. I think as a student, you are able to use as much of the free mode as possible, and you can still take advantage of building your network. The only thing I would say that LinkedIn Premium has that the free LinkedIn doesn't have is that you can message someone directly without even having to be connected with them. But if you know, now that you know how to connect with someone and send those messages strategically when you're initially connecting with them, you won't need that feature. So keep that in mind. I would say LinkedIn Premium is definitely used by like recruiters who that is their job, to fill roles, and LinkedIn is an easy way for them to find people to fill roles.
Next question is, you mentioned that we lose access to this after we graduate. Does that mean that we have to use our personal email when creating our account?
So you do not. I have when you connect to LinkedIn Learning, you can put two different emails. So I have my personal email, which is where I get all my notifications for LinkedIn as of right now. And you can have your CSUN email to show that you're associated with CSUN. But when you do LinkedIn Learning, it'll prompt you regardless to log in with your CSUN portal each time. So that is how it recognizes that you are a CSUN student, is through the login via the portal. So you do not have to, you can add your CSUN email address and have a personal one. You can use either or. I personally have everything connected to my LinkedIn via my personal email in terms of notifications, and I just have my CSUN email so that I can use LinkedIn Learning.
Next question that someone asks is, if we are using our personal email, how do we access CSUN Learning sections?
You would just log in, like when you go into LinkedIn Learning, this button will always be there. You'll press it and it will prompt you by itself to choose a university and organization, and then you just log in with your CSUN credentials. It'll take you to the portal site like anything else you would access.
Okay, and then someone asks, does LinkedIn connect with your resume in the same way that Handshake does?
Good question. No, so on Handshake, I know you can actually upload a copy of your resume and have it visible and open to employers. With LinkedIn, that wouldn't necessarily be the case because your profile is showcasing you overall as a professional. It's showing, it's kind of like your resume. It's not 100% like your resume, but your profile should give the recruiter enough information. When you connect with a recruiter about a certain role via LinkedIn, attach your resume that is tailored for the position that you're looking for, right? Your LinkedIn has a lot of information, all the experiences you've done, many things you've done. You're not going to want to include all of that information on your resume. Your resume is strategically tailored to the job you're applying to. So you cannot feature your resume on LinkedIn like the way you do Handshake.
And you kind of answered this earlier, Genesis, but what is your opinion on using LinkedIn Premium? Do you think it would be useful to have?
Yeah, as a student, no, I'm a big believer in like not having to pay for career services as a student, because you have us here and these resources available to you. As you graduate, even then, I didn't find the need to have to pay for the premium version.
And someone is asking, can you link the smile, wink, and the email to send to the recruiter?
Yeah, well, this recording will be uploaded to YouTube, so you can actually go in and you'll see the recording and be able to access that slide. But if you want, I can also email it to you, and I'll put my chat in the email as well.
Okay, and someone asks if the workshop is being recorded, and I can put the link to the CSUN Career Center YouTube, where you guys can find the recordings of the live streams. And someone asks, when you post your resume on LinkedIn, is it better to post it as a Word or PDF file?
I always say PDF file, because it does, when you upload it, it doesn't get, sometimes when you upload it to certain sites, it gets like, with a PDF, it will not change. With the Word, sometimes the formatting will change or something will change about it. So PDF is always the best way to do it if you are going to be uploading it via like a message on LinkedIn.
Okay, before we do the next question, we have one more question that we can take, and then Anne, if you can take the rest of the remaining questions and then email that information to Genesis, then she will be able to answer them maybe tomorrow.
Yeah, of course.
Or next, at the end of the week, sometime this week or next week. Okay, so let's take the last question.
Yes, so the last question is connecting with previous professors a good idea?
That is a great question. It really depends on what you did with that professor, your experience with the professor. If it was someone that you work closely with, let's say on a senior project or a project that you're working on, or you have this professional rapport with them, then yeah, I think it's okay. And it varies by professor to professor. So kind of reach out to your professor, and it's okay to ask, hey, can I connect with you on LinkedIn? Nothing bad is ever coming from just directly asking. So it varies by situation. So I'd say it's situational, and it definitely depends on your professor.
Okay, I'd like to say thank you to Genesis for her wonderful presentation today, as well as thanking you to the students for coming, because it was a really good opportunity for you. Remember that we are posting all of our sessions on the CSUN Career Center YouTube channel, and you can always view the sessions there if you missed something, because this presentation was jam-packed full of information. So it was, and I know actually all of them have been like that. So please know that you can always get that information later. Okay, thank you.